very transient on this earth. We are here for a short time. So if you hoard, you're going to live a much poorer life than if you share. It's not just material things to share. It's your talent, your efforts, your compassion. Being Armenian, to me, means being part of a very large continuum. We know we have an ancient history. We know that we have arrived at this point through the tenacity of people throughout the centuries. So being Armenian is a responsibility. It means that you can't just sort of float through this life. You have to be mindful as you go through life that you have a role to play in this continuum, because otherwise it will end. My grandfather was orphaned in the 1896 genocide as a child, and he came to this country and served as a soldier in World War I for the U.S. Army. His patriotism for the United States was very tangible. He had gone to seminary and been raised in the church, so I learned a lot about the church from him. He was on the parish council of St. James Armenian Church in Watertown, and we'd go there for Easter, and I could just see how greatly he was respected, and he taught us a lot. He was the one who taught us to pray and just also led by example. I think that's the best way to learn. When I grew up in Bergen County, there was no Armenian church in Bergen County. And so my parents and their cohort were building a church. And to them, that was tremendously exciting. And so that excitement wore off on us. We were very young, under the age of 10. My father had started a dance troupe called the Sevan Armenian Dance Troupe of St. Thomas Armenian Church. It was a great way to be engaged, and it was a great way for him to draw young people in through his talent. My mother would go, and she was on Women's Guild, she was on Parish Council, so she was always running up there too. I feel that what our forebears experienced changes our DNA. I have to say, at times of hardship in my life and at times of upheaval, I've thought about, okay, well, my grandmother survived the siege of Van and then came over on a boat with 2 infants, and then her husband was in the resistance army of General Antranig. So what am I whining about? I would say that if you think back on what they went through and then how loving they were. So it's a combination of strength and love that I think is always with me. I know that I want my life to be meaningful insofar as touching other people in a positive way. Vahapar Karakin II talked about a project that he was working on to renovate some Soviet facilities into youth centers. And so that was my first involvement. It was a big project, and it was in the city of Gyumri, which had been so devastated by the earthquake. And through that exposure and being in Gyumri, I also got introduced to the Gyumri IT Center, which is also providing education that will lead to employment, to jobs, to careers. As Armenians, we need to help Armenia. And Armenia is something that will always feed our souls as diasporan Armenians. There's just nothing that isn't worth supporting. I love for non-Armenians to learn about who we are. So that is a theme that kind of goes through the work that I do. The unveiling of Michael Adam's sculpture, Migration, during the centennial year of the Armenian genocide, I thought that was meaningful because Michael's a great artist. It's a public sculpture in a very visible place, and it tells the story of Armenians in a very graphic way. And it attracts non-Armenians. When I stop by here and I see people come up and take a photo in front of it, and they're drawn to the Cathedral Plaza. So to me, that was a real pleasure to work on. What I see as legacy are the memories that are etched in our minds of the actions of people who came before us. So I see my legacy as the memory of the way my parents, my grandparents behaved, the way they lived their lives despite hardships. So I would want to be that kind of role model for people coming after me. The legacy of our history and our survival is something that we're still grappling with. We are transitioning from being a survivor nation to a nation that will help others survive. We're citizens of this country, we're citizens of the world, we're caring, loving Christian people who want to make sure that our history does not repeat itself for other people, whoever they may be. You have to be attached to something to live a full life as a human being. For us Armenians, we are handed this gift of the Armenian Church, our faith, our culture, our people, our traditions, our history. For me, why would you look elsewhere when this is such a richness? And I honestly feel it's a gift. Why would you squander a gift?